Hey there, folks. Mike Rowe here. You might know me from getting my hands dirty on dirty jobs, tackling those tasks most folks wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. We're not shying away from hard work here, but we are going to make it smarter. Today, we're diving into the world of ratios, the unsung heroes of countless jobs. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, understanding ratios can be the difference between a job well done and, well, a complete disaster. We've all been there, right? Trying to eyeball measurements, hoping for the best, only to end up with a less than desirable outcome. Maybe it's a cake that resembles a brick or paint that never seems to dry. Trust me, I've seen it all. But here's the thing. Getting ratios right isn't about luck. It's about understanding the relationship between different parts. And that's what we're here to do today. Let's take a look at a scenario we can all relate to. Imagine a mechanic in the shop, working on a classic car. He's got his wrench in hand, ready to breathe some life back into this old beauty. But there's a critical step he's overlooking: the oil mix. You see, this engine requires a specific ratio of oil and gas to run smoothly. Instead of following the manufacturer's instructions, our mechanic decides to wing it. He free pours the oil, figuring a little extra won't hurt, right? Wrong. This seemingly small oversight has huge consequences. The engine sputters, coughs, and eventually chokes out a cloud of thick black smoke. Our mechanic's shortcut just turned into a costly mistake. What went wrong? He ignored the fundamental rule of ratios. Now, whether you're fine-tuning an engine or whipping up a batch of cookies, ratios are the invisible hand guiding you toward success. You see, ratios aren't just about numbers. They're about relationships. They tell us how much of one thing we need compared to another thing to get the desired outcome. It's like a recipe for success, but instead of just applying to food, it applies to countless aspects of our lives. Think of it like a well-balanced seesaw. Too much weight on one side, and the whole thing comes crashing down. Same goes for ratios. If you throw the proportions off, you upset the balance and things just won't work out as planned. That's why understanding ratios is crucial, no matter what you're doing. Now, let's break down the language of ratios. You'll often see them written with a colon, separating two numbers. This colon isn't just some fancy punctuation. It's the key to understanding the relationship between those numbers. Think of the colon as a shorthand for the phrase to. So, when you see a ratio written as 1 to 2, it simply means one part of this to two parts of that. For example, a simple syrup recipe might call for a 1-to-1 ratio of sugar to water, meaning you use equal parts of both ingredients. See, no need for complicated jargon, just a clear understanding of what those numbers and that colon represent. Section 3. From concrete to cookies. Ratios in everyday action. Let's see these ratios in action with some real-world examples. Imagine you're a construction worker mixing cement. You need a strong, durable mixture to lay the foundation for a building. A common ratio for concrete is 1 to 2 to 4, meaning 1 part cement, 2 parts sand, and 4 parts gravel. Get these ratios wrong, and you risk a weak foundation that could crumble under pressure. Now let's shift gears from construction to the kitchen. Baking is all about precision, and ratios are the baker's secret weapon. Take a simple cookie recipe, for instance. It might call for a 3 to 2 to 1 ratio of flour to butter to sugar. This means for every 3 cups of flour, you need 2 cups of butter and 1 cup of sugar. By following this ratio precisely, you ensure that your cookies turn out perfectly textured, crispy on the edges and chewy in the center. Section 1. Doubling down. Scaling ratios for larger batches. Now, let's say you're tasked with baking a cake for a crowd. You've got your trusty recipe, but it only makes a small cake. No problem. This is where understanding how to scale ratios comes in handy. Let's say your original recipe calls for a 2-to-1 ratio of flour to sugar for a single-layer cake. But you need to double the batch to feed all those hungry guests. To double the recipe, you don't just randomly add more ingredients. You maintain the same 2-to-1 ratio, but increase the quantity of each ingredient proportionally. So, instead of 2 cups of flour and 1 cup of sugar, you'd use 4 cups of flour and 2 cups of sugar. See how that works? The relationship between the ingredients stays the same, ensuring your cake has the same delicious texture and taste, just in a larger size. Section 2. The ratio trap. Common mistakes and how to avoid them. One of the most common mistakes people make with ratios is not maintaining the correct proportions when scaling up or down. They might add a little extra of this or a little less of that, thinking it won't make much difference. But trust me, even small deviations from the ratio can have a big impact on the final result. Another common pitfall is confusing part-to-part ratios with part-to-whole ratios. A part-to-part ratio compares the quantity of one ingredient to another, like our 2-to-1 flour to sugar ratio. A part-to-whole ratio, on the other hand, compares the quantity of one ingredient to the total quantity of all ingredients combined. For example, in our cake batter, the part-to-whole ratio of flour would be 2 to 3, meaning 2 parts flour out of a total of 3 parts. Let's move beyond the kitchen and see how ratios play out in other professions. Take hairdressing, for example. Achieving the perfect hair color isn't just about choosing the right shade, it's about mixing the dye components in the correct ratio. Hair dye typically comes with a developer, and the ratio you use determines the intensity and longevity of the color. Get the ratio wrong, and you could end up with brassy highlights, flat color, or even damage to the hair. Now, let's head over to a painting project. When it comes to thinning paint, especially oil-based paints, ratios are crucial. Thinning paint makes it easier to apply and can affect the final finish. Too much thinner, and the paint might become too runny, requiring multiple coats for adequate coverage. Too little thinner, and the paint can be difficult to spread, leaving unsightly brush strokes. Let's step into a bustling hair salon. The air is filled with the hum of hairdryers and the gentle chatter of clients. Our hairdresser, Sarah, is about to transform her client's hair with a vibrant new color. She carefully examines the hair type, considering its texture and current color. This is where her knowledge of ratios comes into play. She knows that achieving the desired color isn't as simple as slapping on some dye. It's about achieving the perfect balance between the hair dye and the developer, the chemical that activates the color. The ratio she uses will determine the intensity of the color, how long it will last, and even how gentle it is on the hair. Too much developer can lead to brassy tones, uneven lift, or even damage to the hair shaft. Sarah measures out the dye and developer with precision, following the manufacturer's instructions to the letter. She knows that even a slight deviation from the recommended ratio can drastically alter the outcome. It's like a delicate dance between chemistry and artistry, and ratios are the choreography that ensures a flawless performance. Now, let's shift gears from the salon to a painting project. Our painter Mark is about to tackle a large exterior wall. He's chosen the perfect shade of paint, but before he dips his brush, he needs to thin the paint to the right consistency. This is where understanding ratios is essential. Thinning paint, especially oil-based paints, isn't just about making it go further. It's about achieving a smooth, even finish that adheres well to the surface. Too much thinner can dilute the paint's color and coverage, leading to unsightly drips and the need for multiple coats. Too little thinner and the paint can be difficult to spread, leaving behind brushstrokes and an uneven texture. Mark carefully measures out the paint and thinner according to the manufacturer's recommendations, typically a 3:1 or 4:1 ratio of paint to thinner. He knows that this precise balance is crucial for achieving a professional-looking finish that will stand the test of time. Section 3. Ratios in action. Real-world results. As we've seen, ratios aren't confined to textbooks or classrooms. They're the unsung heroes of countless professions and everyday tasks. Whether you're a hairdresser mixing dye, a painter thinning paint, a chef baking a cake, or even a bartender crafting the perfect cocktail, understanding ratios is crucial for achieving consistent, high-quality results. By mastering the language of ratios, we unlock a world of possibilities. We gain the power to replicate success, to scale up our efforts, and to troubleshoot problems with confidence. So, the next time you encounter a ratio, don't shy away from it. Embrace it as a valuable tool that can help you achieve excellence in whatever you do. Section 1. Ratios. Your ticket to consistency and quality. As we've seen throughout this journey, ratios are the unsung heroes of countless professions and everyday tasks. They are the secret ingredient that separates a mediocre outcome from a truly remarkable one. When you understand and apply ratios correctly, you gain the power to replicate success time and time again. No more hit-or-miss results, no more guesswork, just consistent, high-quality outcomes that you can be proud of. Think back to our mechanic who tried to eyeball the oil mix and ended up with a cloud of smoke. Or the baker who guessed at the ingredient amounts and produced a cake that resembled a brick. In each of these scenarios, a lack of understanding of ratios led to frustration, wasted resources, and ultimately, a less than desirable outcome. Ratios provide a framework for precision and accuracy, ensuring that every time you undertake a task, you're setting yourself up for success. Section 2. Mastering the mix. Practical tips for ratio success. Now, let's equip you with some practical tips to master the art of ratios. First and foremost, remember that the colon is your friend. It's not there to intimidate you, but to guide you. Think of it as a shorthand for indicating the relationship between the parts. So, a 1:2 ratio of cement to sand simply means 1 part cement to 2 parts sand. Secondly, when scaling ratios up or down, always maintain the same proportions. Don't fall into the trap of adding a little extra of this or a little less of that. Even small deviations can throw off the balance and affect the final result. If a recipe calls for a 2:1 ratio of flour to sugar, doubling the recipe means using 4 parts flour and 2 parts sugar, maintaining that crucial 2:1 relationship. Section 3. Unlocking your potential. The power of ratios in everyday life. The beauty of ratios is that their applications extend far beyond the workshop or the kitchen. They are woven into the fabric of our daily lives, often in ways we might not even realize. Understanding ratios empowers us to make informed decisions, whether we're mixing a cleaning solution, adjusting a recipe to our liking, or even understanding financial proportions. So, the next time you encounter a ratio, don't shy away from it. Embrace it as a valuable tool that can unlock your potential in countless ways. Remember, mastering ratios isn't about memorizing formulas. It's about understanding relationships, embracing precision, and ultimately gaining the confidence to tackle any task with skill and precision. Keep those ratios balanced, and you'll be amazed at what you can achieve.